Green Tree Productions is proud to present Duncanville Weekly News. It's the good news just for the City of Champions, Duncanville, Texas. And now, here's your host, John Thompson.
Hello world, America, Texas, and Duncanville, and welcome to this edition of Duncanville Weekly News for the last part of April 2017. Glad you're logged on and watching. Well, as you can see, we're in the Panther dugout, and Coach Fahey will be in here in a minute to go over the last few games and look ahead of the Panther baseball season. But first, the state champion Duncanville Pantherettes held their banquet a while back, and we're going to show it, highlights of it to you in a couple of segments starting right now.
The Pantherette banquet was held at the Hilton Garden Inn this year to a big turnout of players, parents, coaches, and fans. Steve Martin, who put this venue together this year, was master of ceremonies, and after another wonderful season's highlight video by you-know-who, Steve turned things over to Coach Kathy Self-Morgan, and he presented her with a trophy to recognize achieving her 1,100 wins as a high school coach and then being named as the Gatorade Coach of the Year in America. She introduced special guests and made some thank yous to those in attendance, and then introduced the freshman blue team and coach. They were 8-4 and the district champs.
This was an exciting first season for the freshman Pantherettes, for the rookies of the team.
Freshman red team coaches and team were introduced. They were 22-4 and district runner-up.
We have Makaya Williamson, who's also John Mitchell, who's also in track. She's not here tonight. Michaela Jenkins.
Next, junior varsity coach Thomas Weber was introduced, and he reviewed their season, which was a 24-5 season, and 3 of those losses were to varsity teams. Here's a little longer look at the Pantherette junior varsity girls. We'll pick up the highlights of the Pantherette banquet right here after the Panther Dugout Show.
It's springtime in Texas, and that means Duncanville Panther baseball right here on Duncanville Weekly News and the Panther Dugout Show. The Panther Dugout Show brings us updates and highlights of the past few games and a peek ahead to the Panthers' next games. The Panther Dugout Show is brought to us by James Memorial Chapel, the Pope Financial Group of Raymond James, by the Wolverton Company, serving the heating and cooling needs of the Duncanville area for longer than anybody can remember, by Chubby's Family Restaurant on Cockrell Hill for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and there's a reason why they do a lot of catering. Leon Miller Commercial Properties. Need some commercial space? Call Leon at 972-709-7181. By Roma's Italian Bistro at 100 South Main. Call 972-298-5900 for free delivery or dine-in. Entries are prepared freshly cooked for every order. By Glow Family Dental, Dental and Cosmetic Dentistry. Your smile is their top priority. They are here at 427 West Wheatland or call 972-298-2027. Glow Family Dental. And now with the Panther Dugout Show, here's John with all the highlights.
Hello, Duncanville baseball fans, and welcome back to the Panther Dugout Show. As you can see, Coach Scott Fahey is here, and we're going to go over the last 4 Panther games and look ahead to the next 4. And Scott, I guess your first 2 that we're going to talk about is against the leader of the pack, South Grand Prairie.
Yeah, South Grand Prairie, they've started off pretty well. They're undefeated, and we'll see if the Panthers can't give them a run for their money. Your Panthers travel to South Grand Prairie, take on the Warriors at Warrior Field. We send Raul Gonzalez to pitch against the Warriors. And in the top of the third, with a score 1-0 South Grand Prairie, Mark Ibarra leads off with a hit by pitch, advances to second on a wild pitch, and then scores on a double down the left field line by Raul. And that ties the score at 1 apiece. In the top of the fifth, after South had taken a 2-1 lead, with 1 out and nobody on, Mark hits a slow roller to short, and on the error, takes second base. He would later advance to third on a ground out, and then with Raul hitting, a curveball in the dirt allows pinch runner Rolando Ramirez to tie the score at 2. So after 4.5, scores tied at 2. In the top of the sixth, still 2-2. George Trevino hits a line drive in the shallow center, and on the dive attempt by South center fielder, George is able to advance to second base on the same play. He was left stranded that inning at second. And then in the bottom of the sixth, with the score tied 2-2, 2 out, or 2 on and 1 out, South mounts a little rally. They have a single that scores 2, and then with the infield drawn in, they hit another pop-up over short to take a 5-2 lead. And that's how this one would end, even with a leadoff walk by Andrew to start the 7th. But the game ends with a comebacker to the mound by Devin McPhail, and South secures a 5-2 win. South still remains undefeated as the Panthers fall in another close district game. The Warriors then travel to our place at Bob Rombach Field. Junior George Trevino gets a start on the mound. In the bottom of the first, with nobody on and 1 out, George singles hard through the left side. He's followed by Ray Jaramillo, who singles in the right field. That puts runners at first and second with 1 out, but both runners were eventually left stranded as the Panthers couldn't score any runs in the bottom of the first. In the top of the third, with the bases loaded and 2 outs, South Grand Prairie's 4-hole hitter gets one through the left side. That would score a run, but a good play at third base by Ray Jaramillo ends the Warrior threat and minimizes the damage to just 1 run. In the bottom of the third, Devin leads off with a hard hit double in the left field. And then with Raul at the plate, he is hit by a pitch. And with runners at first and second, nobody out, we later hit into a double play and leave a runner stranded. In the bottom of the fifth, with the score 5-0, with nobody on and 1 out, David singles in the left center. That's followed by another hard hit ball in the left by Devin. And that puts runners at first and second, but they too were left stranded. in the Panther half of the fifth. Still 5-0 in the bottom of the seventh with 2 out. The man on second, game into the ground ball to short. Nice play by the shortstop to get McPhail at first. And after this Friday night contest, South is still undefeated. And the Panthers at 2-6. After playing South and playing against a team that's undefeated, our attention turned to a team that's currently winless in the DeSoto Eagles. The DeSoto Eagles traveled to Bob Rombach Field. And with no score in the bottom of the first, Raul leads off with a hit by pitch. He wears that one in the shoulder. That's followed by a line drive in the left field that's off of the left fielder's glove. And as it rattles around in the corner, Raul takes third. And George cruises into second base. Ray then follows with a hard hit sac fly in the right. Nice play by the DeSoto right fielder. Raul tags up from third and scores the Panthers' first run. And that's all we mustered in the first inning. In the bottom of the second, the score is still 1-0. Andrew Budzinski leads off with a single to shallow center. He was later caught stealing at second base for the first out. And then David hits a ground ball to short. It's bobbled a little bit by the DeSoto shortstop, allows David to reach. Nick Chavez comes up, hits a single back through the middle. David hustles around second and slides into third safely. And on the extra throw by DeSoto, Nick makes a heads-up base running play and advances to second. Then with 2 outs, Raul hits a fly ball in the shallow center. Both runners score. As Raul ends up with a 2-run single in the bottom of the second. There's a look at our new athletic director, Clint Harper. Recently came from Marshall Independent School District. Picking up action in the bottom of the fourth with the Panthers ahead 3-1. We get a attempted double play, but with a hustle out of Nick Chavez, he's able to turn it into a fielder's choice. And with Nick at first base and 2 outs, McPhail singles up the middle. That puts runners at first and second. And then Raul continues his hot hitting with a bullet down the left field line. David scores from second. McPhail scores from first after an obstruction call by the DeSoto third baseman. McPhail was awarded home plate, rightfully so. Then in the bottom of the fifth, with the score still 5-1, Ray leads off with a single in the center and some heads-up base running. Good base running play. He advances to second base. He would later advance to third on a fly ball. And he scores on a wild pitch to play the Panthers' 6th run in the bottom of the fifth. Bottom of the sixth with the score still 6-1. David leads off with a hit by pitch. That's promptly followed by a single to left field by Nick. And with 2 guys on, Devin comes up. He hits a ball deep in the left center. The Panthers score 2 more as David and Nick hustle around the bases with McPhail's 2-run double. Now with one out, and Devin at third, or Devin at second, I'm sorry. George singles up the middle. Devin hustles around third and scores the Panthers' 9th run. Ray comes up, hits a line drive in the left, and on the missed play by the DeSoto left fielder, pinch runner Elias Lavario scores from first. Ray hustles into third base to make the score 10-1. And then pinch hitter Mark Ibarra comes up and lifts one into shallow right. That plates Ray and ends the game with the mercy rule. That's the Panthers' second win by mercy rule this year. Your Panthers travel to DeSoto on Thursday, right before the Good Friday holiday. Former Duncanville coach Gary Graves is now the head coach over at DeSoto. And then the top of the first, leadoff hitter Raul continues his hot hitting with another line drive into left field. That's followed by a single in the right by George. Puts runners at first and third. Ray comes up and hammers a high fastball to the first baseman, but rolls fast base running at third. He's able to score. Then with 2 out and 2 on, a tough play by DeSoto's right fielder and second baseman as they collide on the pop-up off the bat of David. But they hold on to it and held the Panthers to just 1 run in the first inning. George on the mound in this one for us. He threw good that night in the top of the third. Ray walks, advances to second on a wild pitch, and is able to score from third base on a wild pitch to plate the Panthers' second run. In the bottom of the third inning, DeSoto mounted a rally. They've got the tying run at second with 2 out, but a perfectly located 2-strike fastball rings up the DeSoto hitter to end that threat. Then in the top of the fifth, with a score 2-0, we get walk after walk, base runner after base runner. Sanchez, then right here, Martell hits a base hit in the left field. That plates 2 Panthers. Martell hustles around. He advances to second base. That makes the score 4-0 and really opened up the floodgates. David then lays down a perfect bunt down the third baseline. That's a base hit. Nick Chavez then sacrifices to third. And on a closer review of the play, there may have been a force out at third base, but nevertheless we'll take the call. With the bases loaded, Chris Polk draws a walk to make the score 5-0. Devin follows with another walk. The Panthers' 6th run crosses the plate in Budzinski. With 1 out and the base is still loaded, George walks as Nick scores. Ray watches a pass ball get past. Polk scores from third. That makes the score 8-0. Pinch hitter Makabara walks to reload the bases with 1 out. Another pass ball to Alec. Scores Devin. Runs the score to 9-0. Sanchez later walks to reload the bases. And after about the third pitching change that inning, Hector Cron takes the pitch off the back of the helmet. George scores from third. And then David takes one in the back of the helmet to make the score 11-0. Nick draws another bases loaded walk. As Adams scores from third. Nick Flores draws a walk for another Panther run. And then Elias with the infield drawn in. The infield fly rules later applied, which makes Lavario out. But nevertheless, the Panthers scored another run to make the score 14-0. And then with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, with the score of 14-0, the game ends with a pop-up to Nick behind the plate. And the Panthers win their 3rd game by Mercer rule this year, as they sweep the DeSoto Eagles in the season series by scores of 11-1 and 14-0.
Each show we have a play of the week. And Scott, who we got this time?
We got sophomore first baseman Noah Martell at DeSoto with 2 men on, and he drives them both in with a double to left center, which then opened up the floodgates to lead to several more runs in that inning. And that's why it's the play of the week.
The play of the week is brought to us by the Pope Financial Group of Raymond James. For all your investment needs, call John at 972-780-0533 or come by 222 East Wheatland right here in Duncanville. It's the Pope Financial Group of Raymond James.
There's still 2 weeks left in district play, and currently these are the standings.
With 2 weeks to go, District 7 6A looks like this. South Grand Prairie pretty much has the district championship wrapped up. And DeSoto is the only team that has not won a game and probably won't. The other 6 teams could finish either 2nd or 7th, just depending on how the teams do in the last 4 games. So, Scott, you just got a couple of weeks left. Who's coming up?
Well, we travel to Irving MacArthur on Tuesday night. They'll come to our place on the following Friday. And then the last week of the season, Grand Prairie Gophers come to our place Tuesday, and then we end the season, the regular season, at Grand Prairie on Friday, April 28th.
Okay, Scott. Well, best of luck, man. We need to win all 4. Thanks for being with us in the Panther Dugout Show. As we close, let's see some more of that Pantherette banquet that was held. And we'll be back on May the 2nd with more highlights and hopefully the playoff brackets.
She was also a scholar athlete, so give it up for Maria.
Then it was time for the state champions, the varsity, the Pantherettes, to take the stage. The team won the state championship for the 2nd time in a row and had a season record of 39-2.
One of the awards that Coach Meadows made up was the Fighting Heart Award. And as the coach before me defined it, she said it was, the person that just had the fighting heart on the court, off the court, just gave you everything they had. And it was a tie this year between Nina Alvarez and Akila Caldwell. Another award that Sandra named was Whatever It Takes. And by this, the previous coach told me that it's whatever it takes on the court, off the court, in the bus, in the locker room, wherever they are. They're going to do what they need to do to give this team their very best. And it was also a tie between Tiara Franklin and Akila Caldwell. MVP Defensive Players of the Year were most valuable defensive players, again, were Nina Alvarez and Akila Caldwell. They're getting a little embarrassed. The most valuable offensive players, again, were a tie, and those are Star Jacobs and Anaya Thomas. And then the MVP for this year is Zay Green.
Finally, the seniors made their final remarks, and then the teams sang the school song.
Always been there for us.